Dueling Dialogues is brought to you by our affiliates at hostpapa.com. Click the banner on the rightleftchronicles.com for premium unlimited web hosting with the highest rated reviews at the lowest prices. Coming to you from that once-forgotten artery that pulses through the center of the continental United States and into the heart of the Ozarks, Grace Matthews. Looking in from the northern border, our Canadian friend, along with his countrymen feeling the effects of U.S. political issues, Connor Murphy.
Welcome to Dueling Dialogues, episode 107. I'm Connor Murphy here with Grace Matthews. Hi, Grace. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Very excited today.
Yeah. Let's hit the fan, huh?
Oh my gosh, yes. Absolutely.
It's freaking crazy.
It's like we're sitting here trying to talk about where do we begin? Where do we end? So we just decide we're going to do a little introduction.
Yeah. Very interesting stuff today, for sure.
Exactly. And I think we have to go back and start with everybody thinks Trump's gone crazy again. They want to institutionalize him, put him on medication so he sits in a chair and rocks, all over the meeting he had with Putin. Now, Do we remember something similar happening in the past?
Oh, of
where
course.
Republicans and Democrats alike started yelling, Trump's lost it.
Yeah, that would be...
He's got some sort of dementia.
That would be the wiretapping of Trump Tower.
Exactly. Everybody is up in arms again.
Yeah, pretty much. He doesn't have a lot of friends out there anymore, so to speak.
No, he doesn't. I mean, Fox News is even turning on him here.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Except for Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity, everybody's pretty much saying he basically believed Putin over his own
intelligence.
Intelligence. Did he? I still go back to a friend of mine that actually had a business deal with him. It was in a meeting over a golf course or something years ago, and he said he knew he is the smartest guy in the room. Now he's older, but I still think he's the smartest guy in the room.
Well, he's making a big statement here that you can't trust your three-letter agencies.
Exactly.
So this will be very interesting to see what some of the fans out there or some of the people that are following QAnon, and we've never mentioned QAnon before.
No, we haven't, because at first I thought they were nuttier than fruitcakes.
Well, it's the mother of all conspiracy theories. So
it really is.
It's going to get a lot of bad press, and there's probably just as much bad stuff out there about QAnon as there is good stuff. But it's super interesting, and it reminds me of what we were just talking about, where the wiretapping of Trump Tower, where everybody thought Trump was crazy, and it turns out, well, he was telling the truth. That actually happened.
Morning Joe ignited his career on that. I mean, he really had nothing.
So
he started saying that Trump had dementia.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to explain QAnon a little bit here now because we've opened the can. So
right.
Basically,
exactly.
Yeah, basically Q is a person with Q level clearance in the Trump camp or up close to the top. This has nothing to do with Democrats versus Republicans. This is big. This is basically somebody from the inside that is working towards stopping the New World Order and from four families from taking over the world. It's that big. It goes all the way back to McCarthy, where they said McCarthy was one of the first ones trying to stop the swamp from happening back then. Then it was John F. Kennedy, the next one that surprised in an election that wasn't part of them. Then there was Ronald Reagan. And now, of course, Trump. And you know what happened to the last two of those, right? So very, very interesting stuff. This is like the mother of all conspiracy theories because it's tying in a lot of those things that didn't make sense. It's tying it into, holy crap, this is real, because things are backed up by by facts. Now, QAnon posts on 4chan and 8chan, which is like a bulletin board or like a forum, essentially, that allows anonymous posting. So they drop hints. They have Q level clearance, so they just can't come out and spill the beans. They are just dropping hints. 2-word sentences, 3-word sentences. They use a lot of code words.
Mockingbird. Yeah, Mockingbird. So that
eagle.
You can go back and know what that meant.
Exactly.
You know,
So,
Mockingbird was when they were leaking to the press on purpose.
Exactly. So when it really started to gain momentum, was basically one of the first posts was that Hillary was going to be arrested. And then that did not happen.
Exactly.
So the people on 4chan and 8chan figured that, well, this is a LARPer, which is a live action role player, which basically means an imposter.
Right.
But then Trump was coming out and dropping clues or dropping some things in speeches that was reinforcing QAnon.
Well, and you got to remember, the one thing that Q reminds his listeners or readers is that he knows his enemy is watching, listening.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he's almost warning that sometimes it's false on purpose.
Yeah.
To make them squirm, especially.
I mean, the posts are very cryptic. It's there's a lot of YouTube videos that are of people trying to decode some of these messages. One of them being, it was just like a timestamp with some digital information. And what that turned out to be was the Hawaii missile warning.
Yeah.
It was the official stamp on the warning, but it was posted by QAnon a week before it happened. So there's some real validity behind some of these facts. And if you start to follow Q and some of the clues and do the research yourself, it's pretty damn eye-opening because it covers pretty much everything puzzling we've ever talked about in this podcast.
Exactly.
So, highly recommend people look into QAnon on YouTube and, you know what? Make your own mind up. This is not Democrat versus Republic.
No.
This is for families that are basically trying to rule the world, the New World Order, Illuminati, whatever you want to call them. They exist.
The Bilderberg people.
The Rothschilds, the Clintons, the Bushes. You know, there's just one family's been taken out now, and that's the Saudi family. Now, if you remember, Jared Kushner made a trip to Saudi Arabia, and he met with the prince that put them in jail. And that happened shortly after that. So very interesting stuff for sure.
And we see Saudi Arabia changing so much in the past few months since that happened.
Exactly.
And they're actually letting women drive.
Mm-hmm. Yes, giving freedoms back. So.
Yeah, and that's the mission. Q reminds us that that's the mission. That's one of the reasons why they wanted Trump.
Yeah, and what else is happening in the world right now? It's Muslim versus Christians. It's blacks versus whites, men versus women.
Yeah,
and that's
the cops versus everyone else.
And that's all been planned. So, yeah, it covers a lot of stuff, and it'll be very interesting to see what comes out here in the next day or two from QAnon about this Trump-Putin meeting. Because Trump couldn't win. I mean, there's no way. If he would have went there and met with him and they wouldn't have had any public appearances, then it would have been, they're colluding. So it was a losing. I don't know really why he needed to go meet with Putin at this time, but supposedly Putin is part of, draining the swamp.
Yeah.
So
it's part of the plan. And, everybody is going nuts about that meeting yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, like Trump sold out. He's treasonous. You got Brennan and Comey tweeting about, this treasonous president that doesn't believe in his own intelligence.
Yeah, but we probably know why.
We do. I mean, yesterday, this morning, Louis Gilmer was on television. He has security clearance. He's on the Judicial Committee. He was actually in the testimony meetings yesterday with Lisa Page. He was there with Peter Strzok last week. He's the one that goaded Peter Strzok about lying to his wife. And, everybody in the audience and his cohorts were going crazy. But he says that Trump might not have been so crazy when he suggested that Russia might not be the player we thought that they were. He says there's other governments involved.
Oh, of course.
And Russia is not the main player. Could that be China? Who is it? It's classified. He couldn't tell.
Right.
And is Trump throwing Putin off? Is he throwing somebody else off?
I don't know. I'm really going to be searching for information through QAnon in the next few days. That's for sure.
How well choreographed is this? Because the president knows everything. He has the highest security clearance.
Yeah.
So if other governments are involved, he's seen that.
Yeah. Now, one interesting thing was, I can't remember what speech it was, but Trump was, I think he said, "We're coming for you," or something like that. And then he made a weird hand gesture. And what that hand gesture was basically forming out a Q in the air.
Really?
Yes. And this was...
Oh my gosh. That like gives me chills.
This was back around... It was just kind of a press meeting or whatever, but it was very interesting. So it was in one of the shorter What is Q or one of those videos that I saw it in, and it was very interesting. Creepy as hell, because you just thought Trump was spazzing out there, and it was superimposed on the video, and they drew this little Q, and sure as hell, Trump was forming a Q in the air.
Oh my goodness. Well, they said that right the day of the inauguration, there was some select people in the Oval Office.
Right.
And he said something like, "Hey, folks, this is the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
We're going to drain the swamp."
Yeah.
The deep state is on its way out.
Yeah. And I mean, this goes back to basically saying that Trump was basically informed of all of this going on and asked to run and to try and stop it. So this was choreographed starting over 3 years ago, that they've been working on this and working with Trump to actually drain the swamp. There was another thing, that some of the swamp has already resigned, and they were saying that a lot more will start resigning very quickly when they feel their people are getting too close to them. So
and QAnon had actually figured that as of, I think, May, that there had been about 3,000 people that had left their positions that would be considered part of the swamp. Now that has to do with private company CEOs. It has to do with politicians. It has to do with some career employees of the government. That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot, because they know they're being exposed.
Right. And most of those are small players. There's few big players up at the top, but they seem to be moving money and bribes and stuff through some of these charitable foundations, the Clinton Foundation, et cetera, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, some charity, right?
Yeah, and where is all this money going? What have the Clintons done with all that money?
Well, I think a lot of it has been paid out. According to QAnon, they've got Barack Obama flying around visiting countries just before Trump gets there, because they've got to pay off their officials in that country, because they just assumed that Hillary was going to win, and people would be paid upon their presidential visit. Didn't happen. No,
it didn't. You're right.
Interesting
stuff.
It
makes a lot of these books, that we have talked about. Mm-hmm. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, like Donna Brazile,
yeah. Jerry Corzai.
Yes, yeah. It basically is, some of the
basically everything he said is in here.
Yeah, and it was backed up by QAnon as well, I believe.
Yeah, it was. They weren't sure if he watched them or paid attention to them, but they pretty much endorsed what he said.
Right.
And there really hasn't been a collusion between him and QAnon, but they sort of found the same information to be true.
Right. Exactly.
I did think it was interesting. Of course, Putin's a liar. We know that.
Wow.
But, then he said he didn't really have dirt on Trump or Trump's family yesterday. And he said it, in a couple of different ways. Nevertheless, I thought it was interesting that when he was pressed by Chris Wallace from Fox News about the indictments, the 12 indictments that Rod Rosenstein had on Friday.
Right.
He wouldn't touch the paper. He made Chris Wallace set it on the table. Well, that's an old KGB thing.
That's funny.
They won't touch something. It's kind of like plausible deniability we talk about sometimes when we talk about the president.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what it is. I mean, it was very funny. He wouldn't touch it. It was like, it had germs on it. And of course, everybody's like, oh, that proves so much. Well, right now, I don't know. I don't know. Did Trump know that Rod Rosenstein was going to let this out? Is this a good cop, bad cop deal? Who's he trying to fool?
Well, it was definitely planned.
I think you can't put too much out of it on this. It's interesting because he keeps going after Mueller. Now, he can unclassify any paper he wants to, but he doesn't. The day before, Rod Rosenstein put Mueller in his position as special counsel. Now, you got to remember, special counsel, not independent counsel.
Yeah.
Now, in the past, we've seen more like Kenneth Starr, who was independent counsel, meaning he could make all his decisions. Mueller has to answer to Rosenstein, correct?
Correct.
The day before he was put in that position by Rosenstein, he met with Trump. Now, the word to the press was it was about taking the FBI position. He's not eligible. He's done his time and had a 2-year extension.
Okay.
So, is he draining the swamp? Is he really colluding with Trump and Rosenstein?
Good question. I mean, as far as QAnon goes, Mueller, Comey, McCain are all part of the deep swamp.
Yeah.
And of course,
and I believed that until I started thinking about it and about the clues. I mean, he says awful things about Mueller. Mueller doesn't do anything, doesn't say anything, never makes an appearance. Rosenstein does things. Trump says awful things. He could definitely fire him. He definitely can unclassify anything these guys are talking about. Republicans have been begging him to declassify. Even Sean Hannity, who we know talks to the president on his direct line every night before bedtime. They read bedtime stories to each other. Nevertheless, Trump does not declassify them.
I think
maybe
it's a timing
we don't know the players.
Yeah, there's something. It's just not right. Something's. I can feel it, but I think it's a timing thing, and I think we're gonna see it all revealed very soon. But I mean, Rosenstein, that was definitely a timing thing. He wanted to indict those 12 Russians just as Trump was going to be meeting with Putin. That's exactly what
but we all said he's trying to embarrass Trump. Yeah. Why doesn't Trump fire Rosenstein? Well, what if we're wrong? What if this is all part of a great big master plan?
Well, it could be trying to get them to make a mistake and reveal it. I don't know. Very interesting, though. I mean,
I think it is.
I mean, Obama is involved with it. Same with Huma, right?
Oh, yeah. Abedin.
Yeah. And then QAnon also points to Huma, meaning talking about Obama's past with Harvard University Muslim alumni. So there's two Humas that they're basically talking about it with the QAnon thing. Yeah. So it's not just Huma. It uses her name, points to it. I don't know why they didn't use a code name for it, but, and then Huma was the Harvard University Muslim alumni who wants open borders, and Obama is a part of. So doesn't that blow your mind?
That really blows my mind, yeah.
Yeah, and then the picture of Obama getting off a plane somewhere with the book in his hand, did you see that?
No.
The post-American world. Yeah, there you go. Doesn't that blow your mind?
Well, I know that QAnon calls them devil worshippers, and I'm pretty sure they don't mean literally. They just mean this is evil,
Yeah, good versus evil.
It's undermining. I'm pretty sure they're not, sitting on the floor with hoods on their head praising Lucifer or something.
Yeah, QAnon is very, very clear that this is not Republican versus Democrat. This is
not
good
Christian
versus evil.
Jew,
this is good versus evil. Yeah.
And it's just stunning. I mean, it takes my breath away.
Yeah.
Because these are, like you said, facts. I don't really... Conspiracy theory to me is like something that been used to sort of shut you up. Right. But a lot of times, conspiracy theories do play out. I don't know whether the aliens on Earth, depends on how you classify an alien, Yeah. But this is just jaw-dropping. Mm-hmm. It really is. And every time you think you got it and Trump is nutty, you find out, he's nutty as a fox.
Yeah, basically. So this is super interesting stuff to follow, this QAnon stuff. Of course, it's going to be ongoing. So I really hadn't had time to look into what people were saying about the Russia meeting, but well worth looking into. And I think we're going to be talking about QAnon for a long time.
Oh, yeah. At least in the next couple of episodes. I will tell you that I tried to watch the one about the Putin meeting yesterday. Right. I tried to watch it today, and it wouldn't play. Then it disappeared from the list.
Imagine that.
On YouTube.
Imagine that.
I know that a lot of these guys have said they had to quit making episodes or videos for a little while because they were being censored.
Yeah.
So I don't know what all that's about, but I understand.
Yeah. And the QAnon also is not just the U.S. This is a worldwide thing.
Good point. That's a good thing to point out.
Even Trudeau's been fingered in this as meeting in secret with Soros' son. And what do we basically have now in Canada coming through Roxham Road? Open borders. Because we're not sending him back to the U.S., which is what's supposed to happen in the Safe Third Country Agreement. No, we're keeping them.
Well, and a lot of these people are being called out. Look at Angela Merkel. She basically had an open border, and, she's been called out on the carpet. So that little part of the swamp, I mean, it's draining the swamp around the world.
Yeah, this is big. This is very big.
It is so huge. It really, really is. And I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk about how he basically raised $33 billion more in NATO, fees?
Yeah, exactly.
We talked about that the other day, but we didn't have a number. 33 billion?
Yeah, that's a big number.
According to the president of NATO, that's what Trump's fat mouth brought in.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I did some research on that, and I found out Canada was one not paying their 2%. It was like 1 point something, just under 2%. So, yeah, we were guilty there too.
Yeah. So, and you guys have been paying other things out the kazoo, so it would be hard to say you couldn't afford it.
Yeah, it's very weird now. You can't even shop online because anything crossing the border to like ordering from the U.S. is got a crazy inflated price on it now. The added $16 or $17 on something that's $50. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah. So I've got a phone that's not a regular, like a real big brand name phone. The battery went in it, and I go to try and buy a battery for it, and all the odd kind of phones with the odd size batteries, they charge $50 for them, $49.99. They didn't have mine, so I'm like, okay, well, I got to buy it online. The only place I could find it was China. And when I ordered it, it came to $7.38.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, what's wrong with this picture?
Yeah.
So, wow, we've got a messed up trade thing going on in the world right now.
Well, we do, but I'll tell you what they would say in the United States is that they stole our patent, basically.
Right. Yeah, okay.
That they like to reverse engineer.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I haven't got a phone right now because it's going to take forever for my battery to get here from China.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It takes, I've got a friend or an acquaintance. She orders a lot of camera equipment. And it takes, she'll forget she orders something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I ordered that back 3 months ago.
Yeah. I've had stuff show up 4 months after I ordered it.
Yeah.
So, gotta agree that's crazy.
We do agree. And we agree this is all crazy.
You bet.
We don't always agree. Life's a journey, and we're all in this together. Thanks for listening. Godspeed, Connor, and Godspeed to all of our friends out there.
Godspeed, Grace, and thanks for listening.
Dueling Dialogues is brought to you by our affiliates at hostpapa.com. Click the banner on the rightleftchronicles.com for premium unlimited web hosting with the highest rated reviews at the lowest prices.